Exeltis is a Spanish major and one of the first clients that used Lumina Spark with us. They were looking to develop their team of 25 leaders to embrace the COVID related realities. So there'd been a big shift in the way that the organization was able to approach doctors. They're in the pharma space and much of their marketing is done directly with doctors. With COVID, they needed to shift gears. And what Lumina did for them is to give them a language and a lens to understand the doctors that they were meeting. They were able to tune their pitches and their marketing strategy, even in COVID times, to what the need of the doctor might be. And in fact, although it was COVID, they saw an increase in sales with this fine-tuned approach towards the doctors. They also found a lens to understand each other better. And it was quite a relief over the few months that we worked with them for them to see that just by understanding the communication style, just by understanding the need of the other person, how much easier life got. So conflicts weren't as escalated, communication became a little bit better understood, sales increased, and the overall motivation for the team was so much higher than when we began. With COVID, what happened with Exeltis was that they were no longer able to meet the doctors in person. So having a face-to-face meeting is quite different than having an online meeting with the doctor, and it's always a nervous moment because the doctor has a lot of patients to see. They don't have the time to see you as a medical professional, medical representative professional. But because they were better adapted to the doctor's view of how they would like to be communicated to, the team found it quite easy to go in. So suppose it was an outcome focused energy that they were addressing, then they would go straight to the point. If it was a data driven approach that the doctor would have preferred, then they were able to go in with all the right data and case studies and present to them what the doctor would like to hear. So just by fine tuning to the communication style of the doctor, all the Exeltis professionals were able to reduce their own anxiety about meeting the doctor online. They were able to come with a much more focused approach which the doctor would have liked to hear from them, and they were much more productive in the conversation. A shorter conversation, but a more impactful and a productive conversation. And the decision at the end of it was also quick. So whether it was a yes, no, or a maybe, became much quicker.
Great.
So with the Exeltis team, the Lumina Spark was the start point to build self-awareness. It was a journey program spread over 6 months, and it was a 3-module approach. So these were face-to-face. Although it was COVID, we would find windows in which where we could, meet the team face-to-face. And Lumina remained the theme throughout the 3 modules. It began with self-awareness, and then it moved to how I would manage my team using the lens of understanding people through the language of Lumina. And the third part was managing the larger organization or managing business. So self, team, and business, these were the 3 modules that we worked with through the Exeltis team. So the way reflection is using behavioral science is combining it with the behavioral way that which Lumina's digital coach and the Lumina Spark is already showing up. We're very keen to make sure that change in all our participants is concrete and it's visible. And behavioral science ensures that intention is translated into action by making change small, making it visible, making it actionable, something that a camera can actually see. And the simplest way to explain behavioral science is how would you show up tomorrow that's different, and it's actually putting your intention out there into a concrete action plan. Now with Lumina, what's wonderful is that your 24 qualities are already stated in behavioral terms. And because it's already in behavioral terms, the shifts are very easy to make. So if I want to dial up a particular quality or I want to dial down a particular quality, it's so simply put in a behavioral term that it's very easy for me as a participant to see what I will do. I can have the intention of being much more collaborative, but I know what is the language through Lumina which ensures that I can be more collaborative. What we've been able to do with Lumina Spark, and particularly with the digital coach, is to create a very happy moment of discovery. Sometimes psychometric tools can hit you very hard, and almost making it unpleasant to look at a portrait of yourself. Whereas with Lumina Spark, there is a wonderment or there is a joy that people experience looking at their Spark profile. The digital coach, because all the videos are in there and it's beautifully explained, whether it's the paradoxes or whether it's one aspect which is being spoken about, or one quality that is being looked at in more detail. People get to choose the 4 goals that they would want to work on, or the 5 goals that they want to work on. Their managers can get an in on it and have conversations with the people. The digital coach is able to be seen over a period of time. So whether we're talking about influencing skills, whether we're talking about emotional intelligence, whether we're talking about conflict, we're able to lean into the behaviors as well as the paradoxes, as well as the 24 qualities, and the choice remains with the person and their manager about how they would like to move ahead with it. The world is getting much more digital, so one, just that Lumina is staying current and using a digital approach makes it very interesting for people to work with. But more than that is what's available on the digital platform. Everything as a resource that a participant would want is available on the digital coach piece. So they are able to go back and view and listen or read, and even the modalities of understanding themselves could be auditory or visual depending on what the person prefers. The goals are not static, so once you enter it into a PDF or a document, you can actually go back there and update it. If you've made some progress, you can write it down and put it out there for you and your manager to see. So there is the level of interaction that is possible. There's a level of engagement that the digital spark builds up. The simplicity of its use is really wonderful to see, and just the fact that you're able to track progress and make sure that you've got your progress updated out there is like getting a badge that, hey, I did this, and it creates a lot of achievement for the person that's using it. So very often at Reflection, we get asked to do a hybrid engagement, which means a journey program, which is part virtual and which is part face-to-face. And the part that we ensure is face-to-face is the Lumina self-awareness piece, because there's so much tactile engagement from participants, whether it's the maths or whether it's the cards or looking at the app on their phones and being able to compare it with each other. So the understanding becomes so much deeper, the engagement becomes so much deeper, and the joy that people experience of, standing around a mat and talking to their colleagues and understanding them from just right across 2 feet, asking them questions about their aspects and their qualities, I think is a wonderful way of ingraining the learning of Lumina. So what we really enjoy is all of the touch and the feel and the tactile nature of the engagement of learning about Lumina. So whether it's the cards, whether it's the maths, and being able to just flip over the mat and seeing the overextension right there, being able to talk to my colleague and understand from a 2 feet distance how I might be different from you on a certain aspect, I think it's brilliant, and our participants have loved it. So using paradoxes with Lumina Spark has been a very freeing approach for many of our participants. They love to see that I am not only someone who is on one side. I can be collaborative, I can be competitive as well. And it's given a great sense of freedom as well as choice to the person, and they're able to think about situations in which both the paradoxes might have come into play. And they're able to tune in much more astutely in the situation as they are observing themselves that, oh, I'm being a little competitive right now, but I also have the collaborative quality within me, and I could use that a little bit more right now. So it's giving freedom, it's giving choice, and it's actually making people think of how they would like to behave in a particular situation, and in which situations it would be more useful to tune into this side of the paradox or into that side of the paradox. So for organizations that are looking at Lumina Spark, and when you would see the portraits collectively of a whole team, they take a step back and they zoom out and they see, oh, there's a certain kind of color energy that is being overrepresented. So perhaps in organization X, there was much more blue and red, and the organization realized that through the intervention, through the journey program, they would like to tune in much more into maybe the people-focused energies a little bit more. And they made a very conscious attempt to build up those skills within the participant cohort so that they were able to be much more choiceful and not just go with the automatic of blue and red. And in fact, the aim was to build up engagement with their teams, to ensure that people are connected, people are able to be more empathetic and collaborative with the teams that they are working with. And it really worked out well. Just having a simple assessment which showed what's missing and what they would like to lean into helped the organization to slowly move in that direction. And also, as they were taking more senior management roles, people who were from a very scientific background, from a very technical background, process-oriented, they needed to be very accurate about the decisions that they made. As they were becoming leaders, they were also imagining the future. They were also leaning into a more chaotic space where predictability wasn't going to be possible. So moving away from no risk-taking to a little bit of risk-taking became very much easier with the language that Lumina offered. Because you could say that, okay, for my role right now in this particular level, I need to be 100% accurate. But as I become a leader and I'm taking business decisions, I can bring in a little bit more of the yellow energy, and I don't need to be so much focused on the accuracy. I need to take a risk. So the overall profile and the 8 aspects as well helped the organization as well as the participants to slowly let go of known behaviors and move towards behaviors that were as yet unknown to them, and help them to make that journey in a more appreciative way. So I'm very keen to experiment how Lumina Spark might work with couples. It's part of my work as a psychologist, as a clinical psychologist that I do. And very often the areas that get explored with couples in distress is communication and compatibility. And Lumina seems to be a great tool. Perhaps we could explore how a partnership can be much better understood if they have the lens and the language that Lumina offers them to see where they are in distress. What's my partner's communication style? Has it some background in the behaviors that Lumina is able to offer up? When I am overextended, I might be much more outcome focused, whereas when my partner is in distress, they might actually withdraw and not speak to me. And I could be very frustrated with my partner in that moment, but the moment I have a lens like Lumina, I'm able to understand it, maybe even appreciate it a little bit more, and it would perhaps reduce the escalation that's happening in the moment of conflict. Likewise, with decisions that we're making, we may be much more flexible in our approach as one partner, and the other person may be much more discipline driven and want all of the metrics, down to the T, and that can be a big aspect of distress. But if I understood my partner's way of decision making is just different than mine and not wrong, I think that would be a very useful lens for partners to look at themselves through.